Welcome to Today's Homeowner with Danny Lipford. Expert advice on improving your home from the pages of Today's Homeowner magazine and remodeling contractor Danny Lipford.
Well, I'm glad you joined us this week. We're nearing the completion of a project where we've added 12 foot to the front of this house to really expand an existing living area. Originally, this house had a very small front room, very small living room, but by adding the 12-foot addition, we've expanded it into a very impressive great room. Now this week, we'll talk with the Fireplace contractor who's installed a direct vent gas fireplace and talk about some of the advantages of using a unit like that in a remodeling project. Also, we'll look at much of the custom trim, including the wainscoting that's been installed in the great room that's really added a lot of character. I'll show you, so don't go anywhere. Now, when you're installing molding in a house like this, that's where you really start defining the quality of the overall project. And that quality starts with good door units like this one. This is a 6-panel wood door unit that matches the existing doors in the house. But we're upgrading the molding a bit around the door by going up to a 3 1/4 Purvis casing. It really has a lot of detail, a lot of thickness, really looks great. But to take that up another notch, we're using what we call back band. Now, back band's a fairly thick molding, has a little notch on it there that will allow you, after the door unit's installed, to nail this in place and really giving it a fairly elaborate look. You can see how well it looks on this existing door unit after the molding has been layered up like that. Really gives it a fairly elegant look. Now, this layered approach works real well on door casing like this, but also very well on crown molding. Well, the layered molding looks great on this cased opening going into the great room. Now, talking about crown molding, most crown molding falls in the 3 1/2 and 5 1/2 inch range. There's some that's a little smaller and some custom moldings that are a little larger than this. But this is a perfect size to create a layered look, or stage molding as many people call it. What we've done on this particular room is we've taken a piece of baseboard that's actually about 5 inches tall, called New Orleans base. Then we used a piece of 5-inch molding, attached them to create a layered look, a larger molding, with just a little mock-up that we used to show the homeowners what it'll look like once it's established. You can see how well it went up on this raised level of this ceiling, and once this is primed and caulked and painted with 2 finish coats, it'll all look like one large piece of molding. Now, a more elaborate way of doing this is to add the third piece like this to really create the look of a very large piece of crown molding. Now, this can be done a variety of other ways. We completed a job recently in a octagon type ceiling where we used the 5-inch molding and then came down below it several inches with a piece of picture mold and painted all of this the same color. Really looked like a very large piece of molding. So there's a lot of variations that you can use without going with custom molding. Save a little money and still have that nice elaborate look. Now, of course, the crown molding cannot be completed until all of the cabinets in this room are completed. Now, almost this entire end of the expanded great room is cabinetry, and they've done very well in the planning to utilize every square inch of the space available. Now, the television will tuck in behind these doors, and they have a clever little way with a bifold to open the doors, tuck them out of the way, and expose the television. The problem is with the television being positioned over in the corner of the room, it needs some way to be able to position the television to see the center. What they'll do, this little piece here will mount inside on a track, a television extender track that'll allow this to come out and turn towards the center of the room. It's a perfect way to handle that. And again, the doors will keep the television hidden the majority of the time. Of course, computers are part of our everyday life now, and this cavity with the same bifold doors will be used for the monitor to be placed in here, with plenty of room for any of the software or anything else that you may have to store in there. Then, with your keypad, it lays right here. You're able to tilt this front down, and then you can tuck it right away as well. Now later on we'll be installing a speaker system in this room, and some of the speakers will be positioned behind these doors that will have a screening on the front of it, some speaker screen, so that can be tucked away. And the audio equipment itself will be positioned down here on a rollout tray, giving you good access to it, the front as well as the back, for any wiring that's necessary there. Of course, the wooden top is good and durable, and the bookcases, book shelving that'll be installed are all good adjustable shelving. But the focal point of the room is the fireplace mantel itself. Now this is 5 foot tall like most mantels are, but the great thing here is the cabinet maker that constructed all of the cabinets also built the mantel. So all of the raised panels, the profiles, the moldings, and most importantly, the paint finish, all is very consistent with all of the cabinetry here. Now, of course, the cabinet section on this side that's being completed now will be somewhat of a mirror image than we have on this side, so that everything will really look nice and custom once it's completed. Now, you can achieve this same type of look with enough advanced planning by using manufactured cabinets if you step up to a semi-custom line. But you need to plan way ahead on that, because it will take anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks to accomplish that. Now stay with us, and when we come back, we'll talk with an expert on gas fireplaces to give you an idea of some of the advantages with the gas fireplace. Stay with us.
Get ready to review your fix-it list as Danny and today's Homeowner Magazine repair and maintenance editor Joe Truini show you this week's simple solution. Brought to you by Dodge.
We have a situation on this remodeling project where we need to cut back the parquet floor so that the new floor can tie into it. In order to do that, we need a good straight line for cutting purposes.
The tool for marking long layout lines is the chalk reel, but we're going to show you a technique here you've probably not seen before. Start by hooking one end on, and because this is a long space, in order to get a nice, sharp, accurate line, we need to double snap it from the center. You start by holding it down in the middle, then just snapping it on either side of your finger. You just have to remember as you hold the string down that you don't move it, otherwise you'll end up with two different lines.
Now this technique can also be used for roof layout on those long stretches of roof decking. Works real well. Also, if you're by yourself, you can put an extra nail at the other end so that you can pop it in the middle. Also, if you're installing wallpaper and need that good plumb line on a vertical surface, it works great. Many times viewers will comment to me how when they watch home improvement shows, the job sites are nice and clean and straight. Well, this is a real job site. The painters have dominated this area with all their paint and supplies they need to establish a good paint job. And they're doing just that. Now that the trim carpenters have completed all of their work, they've been able to get a good coat sprayed over this, actually 3 coats. We'll look at it in just a minute. One of the things that is complete is the installation of the gas fireplace, and here to talk with me about it is Hallie Brown. Now Hallie, for years we've been installing the pre-engineered fireplaces for wood burning. Then later on we started installing a lot of the gas lighters. I guess people are getting a little lazier, but now almost everyone we're installing is a gas unit like that. Why is that?
Well, that's correct, and most of the reason is just the convenience of not having to build a wood fire and just walking over and either hitting the remote control or turning on a wall switch and having instant flame.
It's also great for a remodeling project like this because of the vent that feeds off of the top of this is easy to route to the rear of the house, which is what the homeowners wanted on this one.
That is correct, and what this is this particular unit is a B-vent pipe, a 5-inch B-vent, which is just like a hot water heater, which enables us to vent it to the back side of the house, which you don't see from the road.
Also understand they're available with the rear vent that goes right out of the back of the unit, which would be perfect to position this on an outside wall.
That's right. They have direct vents and what we call TRs, which is top rear vents.
Okay. Now tell us about the lighting mechanism that you have on this particular unit. It's a little different than some we've seen.
Right, Danny. This one just consists of a pilot light with a wall switch and a low voltage wire. And basically the pilot light generates enough power through the thermopile to generate enough power to turn the valve.
So there's no need for any current actually to be through the house to be applied to the unit.
That's correct.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. Now what about the non-vented type of unit? I understand that they're being used quite a bit, other than in the bedrooms. I understand you can't use that unit, but tell our viewers about that.
The greatest thing about a vent-free fireplace is that it's 99% efficient, which means it's going to heat real well. And the other good thing about a vent-free fireplace is the ease. All you have to do is basically run your gas line, you set the unit, tie it in, and put your surround around it, and you're finished.
Great. All right. You know, this gives you a perfect decorating opportunity. If you have a vent that goes off the back of the unit or no vent at all, allows you to utilize that space above the actual firebox, creating a nice plant shelf for a lot of decorating opportunities there. Now, what about cost on, let's say, a regular pre-engineered wood-burning fireplace without the gas? What are we looking at as far as cost of the unit?
Well, on a typical wood-burning fireplace on a one-story package, you're looking anywhere from $600 to around $1,500.
Okay, all right. Now, what about when you add gas like we have here in gas logs and all?
The gas fireplace itself with the B-vent pipe versus the vent-free or top vent can range anywhere from $1,000 to $2,500.
Okay, but the real cost savings, I understand, comes in when you're not having to build all of that big chase, which could be a large, maybe 15 or 16 foot tall brick or wood. That's where the real money comes in.
Yeah, that's correct. And the main thing is that you already have the logs. It's based in that price. The venting is a lot cheaper, and you don't have to build a brick or wood chase on the roof, which is going to give you a tremendous savings.
And you're not having to buy logs every winter.
That's correct.
Also, you have to consider some of the other costs associated with a unit like this. The mantel, like you see here, can run around $800, and of course the surround that you have, this particular one will have marble on it, cost about $1,000. So you need to consider all of those costs when you're considering the overall cost of a fireplace. Hallie, thanks a lot for talking with us about this, and stay with us. When we come back, we'll show you more of the finishing touches on this project.
It's time to check out this week's best new product with Danny and today's Homeowner Magazine Editor-in-Chief, Paul Spring.
Paul, you know, there's one time of the year where you break out every extension cord you have in the house, and that's when it's time to hang those holiday lights. Now, that can be unsafe as well as very inconvenient, but you've got a best new product here that addresses that.
Sure do, Danny. This is the Lamar Outdoor Outlet Box. And what it gives you basically is 6 outlets you can put anywhere around your house, wherever it's really most convenient. And that's great because those outlet boxes on the house often are spaced very close together.
Exactly. I notice it has a few other features here with the reset button, and this is what I like, to be able to have the control to turn the lights on, or you're able to put it on dusk to dawn, or even the 2, 6, 4, and 2 hour settings. And this is perfect for the holiday lights because you can plug them in and forget about them.
You sure can. It's also great for general landscape lighting. You put it on dusk to dawn, they're on when it's dark using this sensor here, and it's really no maintenance.
Another thing from a safety standpoint, once you plug your lights in, you're able to route the line down, comes right out of this cover, and then you're able to completely clip this, the positive clip on it, to tighten it up so that rainwater won't get in that connection.
Exactly right, Danny. In addition to that, you can remove the stake and mount this on the house itself, or with the stake, you can just secure it into the bushes, and it's pretty much hidden.
Okay. Now, one thing you'll have to do is to plug this into a ground fault circuit interrupter for complete safety. Over this past week, the hardwood floor contractor has sanded and completely refinished all of the hardwood floors, applied a coat of stain and 2 coats of sealer. That's why past this point, no shoes are allowed. We want to give plenty of time for the hardwood floor to really seal and cure real well before the last bit of traffic comes in, such as the painters, cleanup crews, and a few other people that have to come in to complete their work. But now, to tell you a little bit about the hardwood floor, you know, we used a combination of old wood that we removed from a portion of the foyer and new wood. Now, once the sanding was complete, it took just a small layer off the top of the wood and blended it in just great. And the homeowner selected a darker stain that you see here, and they've applied 2 coats of sealer, and they'll wait for the 3rd coat of sealer until everybody's out of here. They'll come back in and lightly buff it to clean the surface of the floor and put that last coat on. Then nobody's allowed on the job for at least 3 or 4 days with the air conditioning and heating running to really dry things out and make it good and hard, which is the nature of a hardwood floor. But now, a tip I can give you on this is there's several different finishes you can put on a floor in terms of the clear sealer. You can go with a flat finish, which has no sheen to it at all, or you can go with what we have here, which is a satin finish that has a little bit of a gloss to it, or you can go with a high gloss. The problem with the high gloss is it'll show every little scratch you can imagine, so it's recommended to stay more with a satin finish like this that has a little bit of a sheen but won't show all those scratches. Now, another great tip I can give you is go ahead and use a shoe molding that's the same wood that you used for the hardwood, in this case oak, and allow your floor man to stain it the same color and apply the same number of coats of sealer on this. It's a lot more durable than a painted shoe molding, and it'll protect your baseboards from any scuffing or shoes, anything like that, from hitting the nice painted surface. Now, you know, this room, just about complete, is really just massive how large it actually is. And one of the things that you really notice quite a bit in this room is the nice wood wainscoting that not only is in the foyer, but also here in the great room. Now, you know, wainscoting like this has been used for centuries, basically, in residential buildings like this, and there's several different ways to obtain this kind of look. Now, one way, in a less expensive way, is to actually apply this molding, a bead molding, directly to the drywall. The problem there, you get the look that you may want, but you're not getting the durability that you will when you actually apply a smooth plywood like we have here. Now, the way you go about creating this kind of look after all of the drywall is installed, you start by installing a 1/4-inch birch plywood as we've done here. After the plywood's installed, you come back and you install your 1x6 on the bottom behind the baseboard. You put a 1x6 on top. Then you decide the type of pattern that you want. Here we've gone about 3 foot by 2 foot. Then we've installed 1x4s on either side. Then we come back in with the bead molding that wraps and creates this look. Then chair rail actually goes over the 1x6 that we have here on the top. And then to trim all of the edges out, we come back with the same bead molding that we run on top, as well as around all of the panels and around any of the doors and window trim that we have. Like I say, one of the biggest advantage of it is just great durability, like you have anytime you have wood on a wall section like this. And if you have a fair skill level in terms of being able to do trim work like this, and you have the right tools, you can create this same kind of panel in almost any room in your house. Now, when we come back, and after this Around the Yard segment, we'll show you the completed project in this large great room. Stay with us.
Now, let's go outside for Around the Yard with Danny and lawn and garden expert Jennifer Brennan. Brought to you by Scott's Lawn Products, for a great lawn, guaranteed.
Well, Jennifer, I see you have a new toy.
Yes, Danny, isn't this great? This is a watering wand, and see the head? It has all those holes in it. That really softens the flow of water, so you don't wash your soil away out of your baskets. And that's really important because this time of year when it's so hot, the baskets need to be watered twice a day.
Right.
And I love the extension on it because I can reach my baskets without stepping in my flower beds, or when I water trees and shrubs, I can get that rose head right down at the root zone where the plants need the water the most. And then if you'll hold this, we've got them in different sizes too, Danny. Look at the small one for children. Children love to water. And then this one has got 1,000 holes in the head, and that's great for watering seeds just after you planted them, so you don't wash all the soil off of them.
That's great. And I notice each one of them have a cutoff right on the handle so that you can cut it off in case you have to run in the house for a minute.
Oh, it's so convenient. Every gardener should have this in their tool collection.
Now, the homeowners will be moving into this room tomorrow, and there's a lot of little loose ends that have to be taken care of, like the painter's touch-ups here on the wood columns that have just been installed. Also, the electrician will be dropping by with the nice brass plug plates on the floor receptacles. Everything will be complete. Now, the original front wall of the house was right along here, had the kitchen and breakfast area on the front of the house. They were relocated to the rear of the house, giving us the ability to expand this room out over 12 feet and create a nice great room. If you're considering a project like this, choose your remodeling contractor carefully. Make sure he has experience and knowledge in what it takes to frame a room and create a room this large. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.